Is chapter 1. You know, sometimes people say, why do you preach what you preach? I said, I hope I preach the whole Bible. You know, the last few weeks we've talked about politics during the time of November, of the elections and things. And you know what? The Bible deals with all kinds of things. It deals with the government, how to treat the government, how to deal with the government. But also, most of all, it tells us how to live life. When we talk about the persecuted church, we're talking about people who live for their faith and willing to die for their faith. In the book of Acts, we have Stephen, who is a wonderful preacher in the beginning of the church. In the book of Acts, we see that Stephen is the first recorded martyr in history, that he died for his faith, didn't he? We see Paul through the scriptures many times. In fact, many of the books of the New Testament are books that were written while Paul was in prison. We call them the prison letters or the prison epistles. Why was he in prison? For talking about Jesus, for preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. So all through the Bible, we see people who were persecuted for their faith. And it just seems like some of us Americans, we are, and I don't want to insult us too much, but we are pansy Christians. We are weak Christians. We are weak in our faith. And Paul had to deal with some of those people too. He says, you should have been on meat by now, but you're still on milk. You know, some of us are very weak Christians. Let's just admit it. If they put a gun to your head and said, I'm going to kill you unless you oppose Jesus Christ right now. Let's be honest. Many Christians would oppose Jesus for a moment. Just like Peter did. We deny him for the sake of our own lives. We are weak. We don't have strong faith. But when we see some of the people in the Bible who were persecuted for their faith, we see men and women who were unshaken by the world, unshaken by persecution, unshaken by the trials of life, unshaken by the tribulations of life. They remained strong no matter what. And they took a stand for Jesus. Many people died for their faith during the years, not just during the Bible years, but many years after that, during the time period of the Middle Ages, which, you know, the 1300s through the 1600s through the 1700s, many people died for their faith during that period of time. Even people who spoke against the church when the church became corrupt. And let me tell you, when the church becomes corrupt, we need to speak about it just as much as we speak about the government if it becomes corrupt. If we are corrupt, we need to repent of our own corruption and repent of our own sin. But in this third verse of 1 Thessalonians chapter 3, we're going to see in a minute, it says they were not shaken. They will not be shaken. They will not deny their faith in Jesus Christ. So let's begin. 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. I therefore, when we could no longer endure it, here's Paul writing to them, we thought it would be good to be left in Athens alone, and I sent Timothy, our brother and minister of God, and our fellow laborer in the gospel of Christ. So here's this thing. Paul's saying, I can't come to you right now, so I'm going to send young Timothy, a young preacher. I'm going to send young Timothy to you to encourage you in your faith while you're going through persecution. He says, I've sent young Timothy to you, our brother and minister of God, and our fellow laborer in the gospel of Jesus Christ, to help establish you and encourage you concerning your faith. Man, there's a powerful word there we're going to talk about in just a moment, and we'll come back to that. But he said, I'm sending young Timothy to you to encourage you concerning the faith, to establish you in the faith. Verse 3, that no one should be shaken by these afflictions, for you yourselves know that we were appointed to this. In other words, he